Welcome back to Seniors Radio, the only show on the dial that treats you like the grown-up you are and respects the wisdom of the generations that came before us. I am your host, and today we are going to talk about a problem that creeps into every single house in this country when the weather gets warm. A problem that the folks at the big box hardware stores would love to sell you a $20 bottle of poison to fix, but that my Amish grandmother solved for pennies over a century ago. We are talking about ants. Not the little guys you see marching across the sidewalk, but the ones that find their way into your kitchen pantry, into your sugar bowl, into the crumbs under your toaster, and suddenly you have a colony living in your walls. Now, before we get into the solution, I want you to think about what you usually do when you see that first line of ants marching across your linoleum. You probably walk down to the store, you look at the aisle with all the bright red and yellow bottles, and you buy something that says kills on contact or destroys the colony. You bring it home, you spray it, and for about 3 days you don't see any ants, but then they come back. And you spray again, and you start to notice that the smell of that chemical spray lingers in your kitchen for a week. You start to worry about your dog walking on the floor where you just sprayed. You worry about your grandchildren crawling on the carpet. You worry about the honeybees that land on your windowsill. And you are right to worry, because most of those commercial ant killers are loaded with synthetic pyrethroids, chemicals that are designed to attack the nervous system of an insect, but that can also cause headaches, respiratory issues, and skin irritation in humans and pets if you are exposed to them regularly. My grandmother, a woman who raised 12 children in a farmhouse with no electricity and no running water, never bought a bottle of commercial ant spray in her life. She didn't have the money for it, and she didn't have the desire to fill her kitchen with chemicals that could harm her family. Instead, she went into her pantry, she went into her garden, and she made a spray that cost her less than $5, a spray that didn't just kill the ants it touched, but that erased their ability to find their way back into your house, effectively solving the problem in 24 hours without a single drop of poison. I am going to tell you exactly what she used, exactly how she mixed it, and exactly how to use it so that by this time tomorrow, your ant problem is gone, your kitchen smells like a fresh garden instead of a chemical plant, and your pets and children are perfectly safe. Let me start by explaining how ants think. Because if you don't understand how they operate, you will never get rid of them. Ants are blind to the world the way we see it. They don't look at your kitchen and see a clean counter or a dirty floor. They see the world through scent. When a scout ant finds a crumb of cookie under your refrigerator, she doesn't carry it back to the colony and say, "Hey everyone, there is food at the Johnson house." She carries a piece of it back, and as she walks, she leaves a trail of chemicals called pheromones on the floor. It is an invisible highway. When she gets back to the nest, the other ants follow that chemical highway straight to the cookie crumb. The more ants that follow the trail, the stronger the scent gets, and soon you have a line of them marching back and forth. Now, when you spray them with a commercial killer, you kill the ants on the trail, but you don't erase the trail. The scent is still there. So a new scout ant comes out, finds the old trail, and within a day, you have a new line of ants following the exact same path. That is why the store-bought sprays never really work. They treat the symptom, not the cause. My grandmother understood this. She knew that to stop the ants, you didn't just need to kill the ones you could see. You needed to destroy the highway they were driving on. You needed to erase the scent. And the best thing in the world for erasing scent, for cutting through grease and oil and chemical trails, is plain white vinegar. But vinegar alone isn't enough, because ants can eventually find a way around a vinegar smell if it dries. You need something that repels them, something that makes them want to turn around and go back to the woods. And for that, you need peppermint oil. Real peppermint oil, not the artificial flavoring you put in your tea. Peppermint oil is a natural insect repellent. It is so strong to an ant's sensitive antennae that it is like walking into a wall of fire. They cannot stand it. They will not cross a line of it. And to make sure the spray sticks to the surfaces and doesn't just bead up and roll off, you add a single drop of dish soap. That is it. White vinegar, water, peppermint oil, and a drop of soap. That is the entire recipe. Let me tell you the exact measurements so you can make this today. You will need a standard 16-ounce spray bottle. You can buy one at the dollar store for $1, or reuse an old bottle from a previous cleaner. Just make sure you wash it out thoroughly so you don't mix chemicals. You fill that bottle halfway with plain white vinegar. Not apple cider vinegar, not balsamic, just the cheap white distilled vinegar you use for cleaning. That costs about $1 a gallon, so you are using about 50 cents worth. Then you fill the rest of the bottle with water. Leave about an inch of space at the top so you can shake it. Now, here is the secret ingredient. You take your bottle of pure peppermint essential oil. You don't need a fancy brand. You can get a small bottle at the pharmacy or the health food store for $3 or $4, and it will last you for years. You put 15 to 20 drops of that peppermint oil into the bottle. 15 to 20 drops, not a careful, just drops. Then you add one single drop of liquid dish soap, just one. The soap acts as an emulsifier, which is a fancy word that means it helps the oil mix with the water and vinegar so it doesn't just float on top. You put the cap on, you shake it up good, and you have your ant killer. The total cost for the ingredients, if you don't already have them in your house, is about $5. And that $5 will make you enough spray to last the entire summer. Now let me tell you how to use it, because this is where most folks get it wrong. You don't just spray it randomly around the kitchen. You need to be strategic. You need to think like the ant. First, find the trail. Look for that line of ants across the floor or up the wall. Don't kill them yet. Follow them back to see where they are coming in. It is usually a crack in the baseboard, a gap around a window frame, or a hole where a pipe goes through the wall. Once you find the entry point, you spray generously along that crack, along the baseboard, and along the trail they are walking. You want to soak the area. The vinegar will destroy the pheromone trail instantly. The peppermint oil will create a barrier that they will not cross. Then you go around the perimeter of the room. You spray along all the baseboards, under the sink, around the door frames, and along the windowsills. You are creating a peppermint fortress. Any ant that tries to enter that room will hit that scent barrier and turn around. You do this in the evening, right before you go to bed. Why the evening? Because ants are most active at night when they are foraging for food while the house is quiet. If you spray in the evening, you catch them right as they are starting their night shift. You wipe down your counters with the same spray before you go to bed. It cleans the counter and leaves a scent that tells ants there is no food here. Now, I want to address the safety of this, because that is the whole point of doing it the Amish way. This spray is completely safe for your children. If your toddler crawls on the floor after you spray it, the worst that will happen is they smell like peppermint. It is not toxic. It will not burn their skin. It is completely safe for your dogs and cats. They might not like the smell of peppermint, and they might give the area a wide berth for an hour or two, but it will not harm them. It will not make them sick if they lick their paws. And most importantly, it is safe for the bees. If you spray this on your kitchen floor and a honeybee flies in through the window, it will not hurt the bee. Now, I do not recommend spraying it directly on the blossoms of your flowers outside, because bees don't like the smell of peppermint any more than ants do, and you don't want to discourage them from pollinating your garden. But inside the house, on the floors and walls, it is perfectly safe. Let me tell you a story about why this matters. A few years ago, a young couple moved into the house next to my farm. They had a little baby, maybe 6 months old, and a golden retriever puppy. They had an ant problem in the kitchen. They called a pest control company. The man came out in a truck with a big tank on the back, and he sprayed the baseboards and the cabinets with a chemical fog. He told them to keep the baby and the dog out of the kitchen for 4 hours. They did. The next week, the ants were back, so he came back and sprayed again. This time, he used a gel bait. The baby started crawling right where the gel was. The mother panicked and called the poison control center. They told her to wash the floor with soap and water and watch the baby for signs of vomiting. She was terrified. She called me over the fence one day and asked if there was a better way. I told her about my grandmother's spray. She made it that afternoon. She sprayed the kitchen. The ants were gone by the next morning. The baby crawled on the floor. The puppy rolled on the floor. No one got sick. No one had to call poison control. And the best part was, the ants never came back. She told me later that the pest control company had charged her $150 for 2 visits. Her spray cost her $3. That is the difference between the old ways and the new ways. The new ways are designed to make you dependent. They are designed to create a problem that requires a monthly subscription to fix. The old ways were designed to solve the problem with what you had in your house. Now I want to give you a few more tips to make sure this works perfectly. First, cleanliness. The spray will repel the ants, but if you leave a trail of honey on the counter or a pile of dirty dishes in the sink, the ants will be so motivated by the food that they might try to brave the peppermint barrier. You have to remove the reward. Wipe down your counters every night. Put your sugar and flour in sealed glass jars, not the cardboard boxes they come in. Ants can chew through cardboard. They cannot chew through glass. Second, find the entry points and seal them. If you see ants coming in through a crack in the window frame, take a tube of cork and seal it up. If they are coming in under the door, put a draft stopper at the bottom. The spray is your defense, but sealing the cracks is your fortification. Use both and you will be ant-free. Third, be consistent. For the first 3 days, spray the areas every morning and every evening. You want to make sure the scent is strong and the trail is completely gone. After 3 days, you can cut back to spraying once a week, just to maintain the barrier. You will find that a single bottle of this mixture will last you a month or more if you use it wisely. I also want to talk about the type of ants you are dealing with. This spray works on the common black ants, the little sugar ants, and the carpenter ants that you see in the kitchen. If you have fire ants in your yard, that is a different problem, and you need to treat the mound directly, usually with boiling water or a specific bait. But for the ants inside your house, this spray is the gold standard. There is one variation of this recipe that my grandmother used if she didn't have peppermint oil. She would use tea tree oil instead. Tea tree oil is also a powerful natural repellent and has antibacterial properties. It smells a bit more medicinal, like a hospital, but it works just as well. You can also use citrus oil like lemon or orange oil, which contains a compound called D-limonene that is toxic to ants but safe for humans. But peppermint is the best because it smells the best to us while being the worst for them. It is a win-win. I know some of you listening might be thinking, Elias, why don't I just use bleach? Bleach will kill the ants on contact, and it will clean the surface, but it does not repel them. Once the bleach smell fades, the ants will come right back. And bleach is harsh. It can damage your floors, your countertops, and your lungs if you breathe it in too much. My grandmother's spray is gentle on your home but tough on the pests. That is the Amish way. We don't use a sledgehammer to kill a fly. We use a fleshwater. We use the right tool for the job, and we don't cause more damage than the problem itself. Another thing to consider is the environmental impact. When you spray chemical pesticides in your house, those chemicals don't just disappear. They settle into the carpet, into the dust, into the air. When you vacuum, you stir them up. When it rains, the water that runs your driveway carries the residue from your outdoor sprays into the storm drains, and eventually into the rivers and lakes. It kills the aquatic insects, which kills the fish, which disrupts the whole ecosystem. My grandmother's spray, when it washes down the drain, is just vinegar and a little bit of soap. It is biodegradable. It breaks down into harmless components. It doesn't poison the water supply. It doesn't kill the frogs in the pond out back. You can feel good about using it, knowing that you are protecting your home without harming the world around you. I want to take a moment to talk about the mindset of the pest control industry. They have convinced us that we are helpless against nature. They tell us that bugs are too smart, too strong, too numerous for us to handle without their professional chemicals. They use fear to sell their products. They show you pictures of giant, mutated ants on their commercials. They tell you that if you don't use their product, your house will be overrun. It is a racket. It is a way to take your money every month for a problem that you can solve yourself in an afternoon. My grandfather used to say that a man who can't fix his own problems is a man who will always be paying someone else to fix them for him. He believed in self-reliance. He believed that if you have a problem, you look at it, you understand it, and you find a solution with your own two hands. That is what we are doing today. We are taking back control of our homes. We are refusing to be dependent on a system that profits from our fear. We are using the wisdom of the past to solve the problems of the present, and it feels good. There is a deep satisfaction in knowing that you solved a problem yourself, cheaply and effectively. When you see that ant trail disappear after spraying your grandmother's mixture, you will feel a sense of pride. You will know that you didn't need the man in the truck. You didn't need the $20 bottle of poison. You just needed a little bit of knowledge and a few ingredients from your pantry. I encourage you to try this today. Go to the store, get the vinegar, get the peppermint oil, mix it up and spray your kitchen. Watch what happens. I guarantee you will be amazed. And then tell your neighbors, tell your friends, share the knowledge. That is how we keep these old ways alive. That is how we help each other. If you have any questions or if you have your own grandmother's tricks for keeping pests away, I want to hear from you. Write to us at the station or call in next week. We love hearing your stories. We love knowing that there are still people out there who remember how to live simply and effectively. Before we go, I want to leave you with one last thought. The next time you see an ant in your house, don't panic. Don't reach for the poison. Take a deep breath, remember my grandmother, and remember that you have the power to solve this problem safely and cheaply. You are not helpless, you are resourceful, you are a senior, and you have a lifetime of wisdom to draw from. Use it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep your kitchens ant-free. This is Seniors Radio signing off.